The skies over Earth were a swirl of ominous crimson, the air thick with the scent of burning ozone as two figures clashed in a fury of ki and brute strength. Son Gohan, his wild silver hair crackling with energy, stood defiantly against an army of bioengineered warriors, their grotesque forms twitching with unnatural power. His muscles bulged under the strain of his beast form, a transformation that had pushed him beyond even his father's legendary limits. Across the battlefield, Vegeta watched with narrowed eyes, his arms crossed over his chest. The Prince of Scions had always been one step behind Kakarot, but now, it was Gohan who had surged ahead, something that gnawed at his pride. The conflict had begun weeks earlier when remnants of the Red Ribbon Army, now under the control of the enigmatic Dr. Garo's successor, unleashed a new wave of artificial fighters. These creatures were unlike anything the Z fighters had faced before, each one a twisted fusion of machine and organic matter, designed to adapt and evolve mid-battle. Their leader, a cold-eyed scientist named Dr. Vex, had one goal: to harvest the DNA of Earth's strongest warriors and create the ultimate weapon. Gohan, now a scholar and family man, had been reluctant to return to the battlefield, but when his daughter Pan was nearly captured in an ambush, something inside him snapped. Now, as the first wave of bio-warriors lunged at him, Gohan's movements were a blur. He sidestepped a jagged energy blade, countering with a crushing elbow to his attacker's throat. The creature gagged, its metallic exoskeleton crumpling under the force. Another opponent charged from behind, but Gohan spun mid-air, his leg whipping out in a devastating arc. Masenko! Ha! A golden wave of energy erupted from his palm, vaporizing three enemies in an instant. The ground trembled as he landed, his aura flaring violently. Vegeta scoffed, finally stepping forward. You've grown stronger, boy. But let's see if you can handle something more than mindless drones. Without warning, he lunged, his fist aimed straight for Gohan's jaw. The younger Saiyan barely managed to block, skidding back several feet from the impact. Vegeta pressed the assault, his blows coming in rapid succession, each one carrying the weight of a mountain. Gohan gritted his teeth, his body singing with pain, but he refused to buckle. With a roar, he unleashed a shockwave of ki, forcing Vegeta back. You're fast, Gohan admitted, wiping blood from his lip. But I'm not holding back anymore. His muscles swelled further, veins pulsing with raw power as his beast form reached its peak. The air around him distorted, the sheer pressure of his energy sending cracked spider webbing through the earth. Vegeta smirked, his own aura igniting in a brilliant blue. Good. Show me what you've got. Their next exchange shook the planet. Gohan's fist connected with Vegeta's ribs, but the older warrior twisted mid-air, driving his knee into Gohan's stomach. They broke apart, only to collide again in a storm of punches and energy blasts. Vegeta fired a point-blank Gallic gun, but Gohan crossed his arms, tanking the blast before retaliating with a Kamehameha that sent Vegeta crashing through a mountain. As dust billowed into the sky, Vegeta emerged, his armor cracked but his spirit unbroken. Not bad, he growled. But let's see how you handle this. His body erupted in a blinding light as he ascended to Ultra Ego, his power skyrocketing. Gohan's eyes widened, this was beyond anything he'd expected. The final clash was inevitable, and as the two scions charged for one last attack, the fate of the battlefield hung in the balance. Meanwhile, deep within Dr. Vex's hidden lab, a new threat stirred. A massive incubation pod hissed open, revealing a figure with familiar features, cold, calculating eyes, and a smirk that mirrored the worst of their enemies. Perfect, Vex whispered. Now the real test begins. The battlefield trembled as Gohan's golden aura erupted into a storm of crimson and silver, his beast form radiating power that dwarfed even the mightiest warriors. Across the shattered wasteland, Vegeta wiped blood from his lip, his eyes narrowing. So this is the power of a half-breed pushed to the edge, he growled, his body flaring with Ultra Ego's dark energy. Let's see if you can back up that arrogance. Gohan didn't answer, he moved. The ground where he'd stood exploded as he closed the distance in an instant, his fist slamming toward Vegeta's gut. The Saiyan Prince barely twisted aside, the shockwave of the punch carving a canyon through the earth behind him. Vegeta retaliated with a brutal knee to Gohan's ribs, but the younger warrior absorbed the blow without flinching, his free hand seizing Vegeta's leg and hurling him skyward. Before Vegeta could stabilize, Gohan was above him, driving both fists downward like a meteor, smashing him into the crater below. Dust and debris filled the air, but Vegeta erupted from the wreckage, his body crackling with violet energy. Not bad, he spat, his grin widening. But I thrive on pain. His power surged, and he lunged, fists a blur. Gohan blocked, countered, their strikes colliding with thunderous force, each impact sending shockwaves rippling across the landscape. Vegeta feinted left, then twisted into a spinning kick that grazed Gohan's jaw, just enough to create an opening. His palm glowed with a point-blank Gallic gun. The blast engulfed Gohan, the explosion lighting up the horizon. But from the smoke, a hand shot out, gripping Vegeta's wrist. Gohan's eyes burned with feral intensity, his aura flaring wildly. "You hit hard," he admitted, his voice low. "But I hit harder." With a sudden jerk, he swung Vegeta into the ground, then pivoted and drove his elbow into the prince's spine. The earth quaked, fissures spiderwebbing outward. Nearby, Goku watched, his breath heavy. He'd seen Gohan's power before, but this was something else. His son wasn't just fighting, he was evolving mid-battle, adapting to every technique, every strategy. And Vegeta? He was pushing himself beyond reason, his ultra ego feeding on the damage, making him stronger with every injury. If this kept up, one of them wouldn't walk away. Goku clenched his fists. He had to intervene. With a burst of ultra instinct silver light, he flashed between them, catching Gohan's descending fist and Vegeta's retaliatory blast in each hand. The force of the clash sent him skidding back, his muscles straining. "Enough!" he barked. "This isn't a fight anymore, it's a war of attrition. You'll kill each other." Vegeta snarled, yanking his arm free. "Stay out of this, Kakarot. This is between me and him." Gohan's gaze flickered, his beast form pulsing erratically. "Dad. I can't stop. Not until I prove I'm stronger." Goku's expression hardened. "Then prove it against me." Silence. Then. The three scions exploded into motion, a whirlwind of fists, ki blasts, and shattered terrain. Goku weaved through their assaults, his movements flawless, but even Ultra Instinct couldn't keep up forever. Gohan's raw power was overwhelming, and Vegeta's relentless aggression was wearing him down. A misstep, Goku took a brutal kick to the ribs, sending him crashing through a mountainside. Gohan and Vegeta locked eyes, panting. Both were battered, bleeding, but neither would yield. Then, a dark laugh echoed across the battlefield. From the shadows emerged a figure, black-cloaked, his presence suffocating. "How entertaining," he mused, his voice dripping with malice. The mighty scions, tearing each other apart. His hood fell back, revealing cold, golden eyes. But why settle for a spar when you could face true annihilation? Gohan's blood ran cold. "Who?" The stranger raised a hand. The sky split open. And hell descended upon them. To be continued. The battlefield trembled as Gohan's golden aura erupted into a storm of crimson and black, his beast form surging with untamed power. Across the shattered wasteland, Vegeta wiped blood from his lip, his eyes narrowing at the sight. "TCH. So this is what you've been hiding, boy?" Goku, battered but grinning, cracked his knuckles. "Guess we've got our work cut out for us." The enemy, a monstrous fusion of corrupted energy named Zygote, loomed over them, its jagged claws dripping with stolen ki. "Pathetic," it hissed, its voice echoing like 1,000 screams. "Your power is nothing compared to the void I consume." With a flick of its wrist, a black hole formed above them, warping gravity itself. Gohan didn't hesitate. He lunged, his fist connecting with Zygote's gut in a shockwave that split the earth. The beast staggered, but retaliated with a backhand that sent Gohan skidding through rubble. Vegeta blurred into action, landing a crushing elbow to Zygote's spine, only for the creature to twist midair and kick him into a mountainside. Goku teleported behind Zygote, driving a Kamehameha point-blank into its skull, but the energy dissolved into its flesh, absorbed. "Damn it." Goku gritted his teeth as Zygote's laughter boomed. "It's adapting." Gohan forced himself up, his muscles screaming. His father and Vegeta were pushing their limits, but Zygote was evolving faster than they could damage it. He clenched his fists, feeling the beast's power writhe inside him, not just strength, but something deeper. The rage, the desperation to protect, the unshakable will of a warrior who refused to fall. Then, a voice, Piccolo's, from the sidelines where the wounded watched. "Gohan. Remember what you fight for." The words struck him like lightning. His mind flashed to Pan's smile, Vidal's unwavering faith, the earth trembling under Zygote's destruction. This wasn't just about power. It was about defiance. With a roar, Gohan's aura exploded anew, swirling with streaks of silver. His hair lengthened, his pupils sharpened. Zygote paused, sensing the shift. Impossible. Gohan vanished. His next punch didn't just land, it unraveled space around it, tearing through Zygote's absorption shield. The creature howled as cracks spider webbed across its body. Goku and Vegeta exchanged a glance, no words needed. They flanked Gohan, their energies sinking in a triangle of annihilation. Now. Goku unleashed a god Kamehameha, its blue-white brilliance searing the sky. Vegeta's final flash erupted beside it, a torrent of violet fury. And Gohan, his hands cupped a sphere of crackling crimson, the very essence of his beast power condensed into one strike. Final. Light cannon. The three attacks collided with Zygote, the resulting explosion swallowing the horizon. Reality itself seemed to fracture, light and darkness warping until, silence. When the dust cleared, Zygote was gone. Not defeated, erased. Gohan collapsed to his knees, his form flickering back to normal. Goku stumbled to his side, gripping his shoulder. "You did it, kid." Vegeta, panting, managed a smirk. "Humph. About time you pulled your weight." The aftermath was a world forever changed. Zygote's defeat had purged the lingering corruption in the universe, restoring balance. But more than that, the hierarchy of power had shifted. Gohan, once the reluctant warrior, now stood as Earth's ultimate defender. As the sun rose over the scarred battlefield, Gohan looked at his hands, no longer trembling with doubt, but steady with purpose. The beast hadn't just been power. It had been the final step in embracing who he was meant to be. And somewhere, in the infinite cosmos, new challenges stirred. But for now, there was peace.